Everybody, welcome back to my third lecture. I hope it's third or fourth, I don't know. Now, today's session is on academic writing, where we will focus on specifically on how to write an effective abstract. You can write an abstract, but the abstract has to be effective. We will discuss what the word effective means in an abstract, right? Now, you have to understand that the reason we focus on this topic is because abstract is the first impression that your reader gets to know your research. Whether you're submitting a paper to a journal or a conference or even preparing your final thesis, your supervisor will first go through the abstract. Your reviewers of your thesis or reviewers of your conference paper or the editor-in-chief of the conference, whoever who reads your work will first read the abstract, right? So it is a first impression that you make with your scientific writing. So today I will discuss with you not just what an abstract is, but how to make a really good abstract. I will take you step by step, and we will discuss some tips, some examples, and also some common mistakes that we need to avoid. This is mainly designed to educate the researchers. So this will not be anything beyond the general lecture. Right? Therefore, I will make it simple. I will try to make it practical and hope that it will be useful for you. So let's look at the sense of an abstract. We have to begin with understanding what an abstract really is. I have 6 bullet points. The first bullet point, an abstract is a self-contained summary of a larger work, which means that usually a summarized version of your research paper, your thesis, or if you are writing a technical report, you might have an executive summary. Executive summary would be another word for an abstract. I will discuss about that later. So mainly as researchers, you might be writing your theses, your research reports, your research paper, conference paper, whatever it is. It has to be a self-contained summary. Self-contained means without referring to any other sources, it should convey a message. It should tell the reader what you have done from A to Z. Even if someone reads only the abstract, they should be good. They should get a good idea of what your full work is about. Right? That is all about abstract. The second bullet point, usually you place it at the beginning of your work, right? Usually situated at the beginning of such works, the abstract is meant to preview the document, right? What does that mean? So you place it at the beginning of the document, whether it's a thesis or a paper. Even though it comes first, it usually is written last because you have to write the abstract once you finish the writing the thesis or the paper. So even though you place it at the beginning of the document, it is written last, right? Uh, the third bullet point, the abstract helps readers. The abstract help readers. It helps readers find uh, what they're looking for and understand the magnitude of what's being discussed, right? So why is this so important? Then the third bullet point is about that. So why is it the abstract so important? Because people, especially the academic supervisors, the reviewers of the journal papers or the conference papers, they don't always have time. They don't spend much time reading the full thesis or the full paper. First, they go through the abstract, and then they will decide whether the thesis is the work is good or mediocre or bad or not well written, right? So well written abstract helps the supervisors or the reviewers figure out very quickly whether the work is interesting, worth reading in detail or not, right? So the fourth bullet point, an abstract can determine whether or not someone becomes interested in your work, right? Whether your work gets noticed, accepted, or cited depends on the quality of your abstract. If a read of your paper, if he or she doesn't like the way that you have written the abstract, or if they find that the abstract is not complete, not well written, they might not read the paper. If they don't read the paper, they will never adopt what you have written. Your write up would be wasted, right? So it's like a gate, right? It's like a gate that you enter your thesis, right? You allow others to enter to the content of your thesis, your paper, right? So it attracts the readers in or moves them out. If they find that the abstract is not well written, they will move out. They will not read your paper, right? Now, the readers are okay. If your supervisor is not happy about the abstract, he will return the thesis back. If the reviewers of the conference paper that you have submitted are not happy about the abstract, they will not get along with your full submission. The journal reviewers might just reject your paper even without going through the full paper. That's what we do. At ISL annual sessions, I get about 250 abstracts. I go through them and I decide whether to invite the full paper or not based on the abstract, the content of the abstract, the way that it is written. I'm an editor of the journal of the National Science Foundation. We screen the submissions by circulating the abstracts among the editorial members. And they go through the abstract and they decide whether the full paper should be sent for further review based on the abstract. If the abstract is not well written, uh, the writer is doomed, right? The fifth bullet point, because is essential item that you need to focus on because there are specific requirements. It is best to know a little about how to write it. That's what we are doing here. And the last bullet point, this lecture, we will go over the basics of writing an abstract, what elements to include, what not to do, how to structure it, and I will provide some useful tips, right? Now, can you look at this? What is all this about? This is from Apple TV. Can anybody tell me about what these are? These usually, I think you know. I think you watch movies better than me, right? Films, movies. Yes, they are not just movies. Now this is Apple TV. This is what you see when you open up, right? These are called video trailers, right? You know the word better than me. Video trailers. You first look at the trailer and you decide whether to watch it or whether to download it or not, right? What is a trailer? Maybe the entire film. Maybe the film is about 2 hours, about 120 minutes. It is in abstract form of about 3-4 minutes, right? So you decide to watch the movie if the trailer is well formulated, right? This is a very simple example that I can give you about the purpose of an abstract, right? So I think most of you, when you watch Apple TV or Netflix or whatever it is, you watch the movie trailer. Uh, Apple TV is a bit expensive, but Netflix, for example, right? So I can actually compare these trailers with academic abstracts. just like how a trailer gives you a quick look at what the movie is all about, main characters, the plot, whether it's action, romance, comedy. So it gives the person who watches the trailer some idea of the film is all about. So we can compare the abstract to this trailer, right? It's a direct comparison. If the abstract provides complete information about what the paper is all about, the reader or the reviewer or even the supervisor might be interested in going through the whole the paper or the thesis or the report, whatever that you submit, right? So it is something that is a decider. Uh, I mean, a rational person might think it's whether it's worth spending time in reading this paper. Is it interesting? Does it match my objective? Should I read this or should I drop this? It's a very quick decision that you take, that you make. Even the when you go through the trailer, that's what you do. You just skip and you watch another trailer to find a better film, right? So when somebody reads the abstract, they or he or she might be asking him herself or himself, is this relevant to my work? Is this research good enough to go through? Is it worth reading further? Right? So abstract is therefore is not just a summary. Don't ever think that abstract is a summary of your paper, because now a movie trailer is not just a summary, right? It won't say it provides you with from the beginning to the end, the all the details that you need to decide whether to give you an idea of the full paper. So if you just summarize the paper, it might not give you a full uh, idea of the paper, right? And therefore, don't ever think that an abstract is just a summary of what you're writing. We will see why it is not just a summary, right? Now, the supervisor here, just look at this cartoon. On the left, there's a on your right, there's a student, and on your left, probably the supervisor, right? Maybe a chemical lab. Uh, so on the left, the supervisor is confused. The professor is confused. He's asking, "What is it?" Right now, and the student on the right proudly replies, "Right? He's confident. You said to do an abstract, right?" Now, abstract means abstract painting or a drawing, right? That is what he has understood. This is not funny because it makes an important point. Everyday language, if the student or if the young researcher doesn't know what an abstract is and how it is being done, it is like an abstract art. Only the person who did the abstract art knows what it is all about, and all the others are confused, right? So therefore, you as beginners, as researchers, you need some guidance, uh, because the abstract has to be short. The abstract, the word itself is it tells you that it has to be short, concise, and it has to be precise, right? So we should all know how to write an abstract, not looking like this painting. Abstract painting is something that you need to forget about. We have to think about some structured, well-structured paintings, well-structured uh, uh, write-ups, right? So abstract is a short summary of your work, but I again say it's not just a summary; it's a short summary of your work. Uh, but even though it's short, it's very important, right? Let's break it down a bit. If you are writing a research paper or submitting a journal manuscript, the abstract is usually one page, one paragraph, right? For a journal paper, for a conference paper, just one paragraph. Sometimes 10 to 15 sentences or 100 to 200 words. This word limit is very strictly stipulated by the conference organizers or the journal papers or even the theses. Usually, we accept theses just with one page abstracts, not more than a page. A page can accommodate about 300 words, right? So for a thesis of about 200 pages, you have to make an abstract to fit one page, right? So that is not much. So every word has a meaning, and it counts to the word limit, right? But if you are writing something big, something bigger like a thesis, a research report, or a monograph, the abstract can be a bit longer than what you submit for a journal or a conference, but still it cannot be more than one page, right? So even though when I say for a conference paper or a journal paper, it's 200, 150, 200, I'm talking about the longer uh, abstracts also might be about 300 to 350 pages, sorry, words, right? For research reports, for technical reports, the executive summary can be different. If I'm say I'm working on feasibility reports, I'm working on uh, project assessment reports. For such technical reports, that the executive summary can be a little longer, maybe a couple of pages, depending on the content that you want to include. But that is not a research report that I'm talking about. Just forget about all the technical reports now. Forget about executive summaries that you include in your technical reports. I'm talking about research work and the abstract that we include in it, right? So the general rule is the shorter, the better. You have to keep it focused, keep it sharp. So that is the general rule. Shorter, the better. Keep it focused, keep it sharp, right? Now, why do we put in all this effort for such a short writing? Now you might say, why do you want to discuss about all this if this is just 10 to 15 sentences? If it is just about 150 words, why can't I just write 150 pages? Why do I need to worry too much about it? Because well-written abstract serves multiple purposes. There are so many things that an abstract can serve. An abstract lets readers get the idea or a sense of your paper quickly in order to decide whether to read the full paper, right? So it prepares the reader to read. Sorry, it gives it helps the reader to decide if they should read the whole thing or just drop it, right? Uh, and then the abstract prepares the reader to follow the detailed information, analysis, and arguments about your full paper. Prepares the reader. That is very important, right? Once they start reading the full paper, they already know the roadmap in their mind. They can follow your logic, your methodology, and your arguments more easily. It's not like the movie trailer. Movie trailers, they just rouse your curiosity, but it will not give you the complete plot in summary. Because if the complete plot is given in summary, I mean you lose the interest in watching the movie. So when I compare the trailer with the abstract, it's the content is completely different, but the purpose is the same. The content is different because the movie trailer might give you certain points so that it catches your curiosity, it arouses your curiosity. But the abstract should be the full message of what you have done, because once the reader decides to go through the abstract, they will go through the paper, and when they read through the paper, it provides them with a roadmap, right? They know what you have been doing, what your key results are, and what your conclusions are. So if they're interested in finding more about the paper, right? So uh, it always you can always keep in mind that the abstracts helps readers remember key points from your paper, right? So abstract will they will keep that in record, And they will the if I put that in short, an abstract is summary, a preview, and it is a memory aid, all packed in one powerful short paragraph, right? So abstract is something very important that you need to look, say write uh, very careful. Abstract. Now, what is now? Just let us take a moment to look at a short comic here. Now, there's again two people here. The student has spent years in writing a thesis, and probably one of her colleagues is finally trying to read it, maybe to help her, right? So the boy here uh, asks the girl, "So what are you doing?" I'm sorry. I think the thesis has been written by the boy, and the girl is reading the thesis, right? Or the probably the lady is the supervisor. I don't know. I'm reading your thesis. That's what she says, and then the lady says, I figure you worked so hard on it for so many years. The least I can do is try to understand what it is that you did." Now, this person is very confused because so many years of work, but still, by reading through it, maybe she can't find anything get past the title, right? So probably the third box here, they're both confused. What is this? Now her face looks like, what is this, right? So, and the last, the confused right of the thesis says, how's that going? Uh, haven't made it past the title. Is this even English? So that is the worst thing that the writer can get as feedback. This is not funny. It reflects the real challenge we often see in academic writing, lack of clarity. If there's no clarity, nobody would understand what you have done. You know what you have done completely from A to Z. But if you cannot put that in writing, even the work is important. Even the work that you have done is groundbreaking. If you have got so much of interesting results, but if you cannot put that in writing, if the writing is too complex or the key points are not very clear, the clarity, uh, then all your hard work might go unnoticed, right? These are some of the key things that you need to focus on, right? You had first the abstract, you have to understand the abstract pronounces why somebody should take your paper seriously, right? Right from the start, your abstract tells the reader, this is what I did, and this is why it matters, right? Then the second point, the abstract will convince the world why months of your research matters because you have spent so much of time, right? The abstract should show the value of your study, the gap that you have filled, the innovation that you have introduced, and why it is important for the rest of the scientific community. And the third, the abstract will help people decide whether to read the rest of your paper or not. If in research journals or conference submissions, or even if you submit a grant proposal, the abstract is often the only part that is read at first. So if it doesn't go beyond that point, you are a loser, right? And finally, uh, it is so critical, absolutely critical for editors. They use the abstract to screen submissions. As I said, that's what we do routinely in journals and even the ISL annual submissions. Uh, That is to screen the submissions, because we can't be handling 250 papers for the annual sessions. But if all the 250 are okay, we are not reluctant to absorb all the papers by seeing abstract. This time we got somewhere around 230 abstracts, and great majority, at least 95% of those, only about less than 10 were rejected. That's wonderful. This time the rejection rate was so small, and the write-ups were so impressive, so good, right? So I think the researchers in the country, in our circles, they have improved in their writing. So the screening business is easy with abstracts, right? To identify appropriate, whether to accept it or not, and then whether to send it to which reviewer. If the abstract is too vague, too long, or missing certain things, definitely it will be rejected, right? Because abstracts are not sent back for revision. Either it's rejected, or either it's accepted or it's rejected, right? So the message is very simple. The abstract is not an afterthought. You have to make sure that it is the most important part of your work, the most powerful section of your present work, and it must be written with care, purpose, and clarity. Right? Let's go on to further details. Uh, the purpose of the abstract. Uh, let's now explore why writing a good abstract is not just helpful, but it's absolutely essential in academic writing, right? First, now remember that search engines, I think we have discussed this even before, search engines and research databases, uh, like Google Scholar, Science Direct, or Scopus, they don't include the whole paper. They don't read the search engines or databases. They have complete sets of abstracts put together with the title. Title is one field. The abstract is the second field. Keywords are the third field, right? If anybody is interested in the abstract, they can download the full paper from some other database, right? But there are links that they have created. So indexing your paper is essentially with the use of the paper, the abstract, right? So there are incredible tools for indexing. It's the essential tools in indexing, right? So they make it easier for researchers to find precisely what they need to do without wasting their time, right? So if your abstract doesn't include the right keywords or doesn't reflect what your paper is really about, uh, Science Direct Scopus, they will show the abstract, but it will not be shown to any other uh, researchers who want to look for similar papers, right? So your abstract, the title, right? It's so crucial, because in these search databases, the first field would be the title, second would be the abstract, third would be the keywords, right? So title is important. We have discussed about how to formulate a good title and the abstract here, right? So therefore, you need to put your work in context and put them together. And most importantly, this is the reality. An abstract is one of the most read parts, probably the only part of research paper, and it's tricky for that same reason. This is the reality. For many papers, the abstract is the most read work, probably the only read, right? That is the truth, right? You have to understand that. Even if someone downloads your paper, they might only read the abstract and the conclusion. If they are not interesting, they will just put that away. I think just think about your experience. When you download the paper, what do you do? First, go now. You download the paper based on the title, right? If the title is interesting, you download it, and then you go through the abstract. If it is interesting, you go through the rest of the paper. If not, you just drop it. That's right. I'm repeating your own experience here, right? Uh, the abstract has to be informative, well written, and engaging. Engaging in the sense that it has to give the reader the things that they are looking for, right? So many researchers check out the abstract and to decide whether to offer to go ahead with the paper or not, right? Uh, so uh, many researchers now, including uh, whoever who readers your paper with theses or whatever, your supervisor, your reviewers, whoever they judge your work based on the abstract, right? So that's why the with the number of citations used as a prevalent metric for impact factor, it has become more important now than before to write a clear, concise, and a compelling abstract. And the final message here, the abstract is essentially the researcher's elevator pitch to the world, right? So it's at the elevator pitch, right? It takes you from one level to the higher level. Abstract is the elevator, just like an elevator where you have 30 seconds to move from the one floor to the other, right? So this 150 words is just like the elevator, right? So make sure that you write a good abstract. Now let us look at we have talked about why an abstract is important. Now let's look at some basic features that a good abstract must have. Uh, so academic journals often have specific requirements for abstract, specific guidelines for what to include and how to organize your abstract. Uh, First, understand where you need to submit your paper, whether it's a conference, whether it's a journal, whether you are writing a thesis, right? So abstract might have different formats, different requirements. Uh, and you have to understand that whether it's a conference or a journal or a thesis, they just don't expect it as a summary, right? You need to follow certain formats and guidelines. That is it's very important to understand, right? There are formats and guidelines. So before writing, always check what the journal or the supervisor wants, right? Now, the ISL annual sessions, the maximum word limit is 300, but sometimes some researchers they submit about 3-4 pages, right? They cut and paste from somewhere and send unrelated sentences put together, right? So the abstract should be intelligible on its own without reader having to read the entire paper, right? Your abstract should be intelligible. That is very important. This means that someone should be able to fully understand what you have written without reading the entire paper. It should not depend on the rest of the document to make sense or imagine someone in a different say the message that you want to send to the reader, right? So even without now that is the beauty of the good writing. You don't meet the writer, you don't see the writer, you don't know who the writer is, but still, if you could read a good abstract, and if you can understand, if you can get an idea of what they have done, that is the magic, right? Uh, it connects the reader with the writer, right? So in an abstract, you usually do not cite references. That's very important. You usually do not cite references. So therefore, if you want to cite someone else's work, you have to be tricky. You have to put it in some other way, right? So sometimes some people make this mistake. Unless otherwise, you are reviewing a certain methodology. Unless otherwise, it's absolutely necessary. You don't include references, cite references, right? Why don't you cite references in the abstract? This is simply because the abstract is about your work, right? So you are not referring your work to the others, unless otherwise it's absolutely needed, right? Focus on your work and make the abstract. That is the very meaning of not including citations in the abstract, right? So you don't try to say what others have done, what others have said. So you start referring to what your core message is arising from your own work, right? So your abstract will describe the certain things, what you have studied, what you have studied in your research. This is included in your topic or the research question. That is what you explain. So you have to state what you have studied. That is, you have to include your thesis sentence or the rationale or the research question, and then definitely you have to say what you have found, your results, right? Main findings and results, and what you argue. Because without arguments, without a proper discussion, without proper explanation of the results and connecting with what others have done, that is the discussion, the paper is not very interesting. It will not be read by others, right? This is your main the part of the abstract. Your main the second is what you have found, your results, and the third is your description of the explanation of the results, observations, and then connecting with what others have done. That is the discussion and your arguments put together. Uh, so this argument is very important in any research work, right? So remember that abstract is like a map. It should tell the readers what they are going, where they are going, and what to expect without don't try to confuse them, right? So confusing the reader is the end of their reading, right? So let's look at an example of what IEEE wants the readers to focus on when writing an abstract. This is IEEE for all the IEEE submissions. This is what they want the readers to focus on. Your abstract should provide a brief summary of the research conducted, the conclusions reached, and the potential implications. So three sections put together. A strong abstract will consist of a single page up to 250, correct grammar, and unambiguous terminology. Be self-contained, without abbreviations, footnotes, references, mathematical equations. Highlight what is novel in your work. Include 3 to 4, 5 keywords. And most authors write the abstract last and edit multiple times before it is being submitted. IEEE recommends that you do not include mathematical symbols in your article title or abstract because they may not display properly. So this is a very simple instructions given by IEEE for accepting papers, for their conferences, for their journals, for their proceedings, whatever they expect. Right. So this is a very simple form of explaining what abstract is all about. When you write an abstract, it's very. I need to ask the question which I have already answered. When do you want? When should you actually write the abstract? Obviously, though it is put at the beginning of your paper or your thesis, uh, it's not a good idea to write it at the beginning. It's the last thing that you need to do, right? Once you write your full paper, once you complete your thesis, fully written and understood, then it is time for you to read the abstract, right? So, so my simple advice for you is to write the abstract only after you have drafted your full paper, your full thesis, your report, whatever it is. That's the way you are summarizing say your work completely. and it will be consistent, it will be clear, and the reader will have the complete message, right? Uh, the next is something that we can just browse through. I'll be going to discuss about five kinds of abstracts. One is a journal abstract, but you have to think about the most common types that come across us. If you're submitting to a scientific journal, you'll need a journal abstract. So the journal needs an abstract of about 150 to 200, as I told you before. Some journals provide formats. Some provide structured abstracts. I will discuss about that later. Very so the best journal that we have are Nature and Science. Both needs structured abstracts. They don't accept just abstracts. They want structured abstracts. I will tell what these are. Structured abstracts are usually multiple sentences, but these journal abstracts are usually one paragraph abstracts. And then the second abstract for a research proposal, right? Now, if you are usually it's usually part of a funding application. Now here, whenever you put forward a research proposal, it's at the beginning, right? You are still yet to start uh, the research. You are looking for funding. You are looking for collaboration. You are looking for potential supervisors. So you are at the beginning of your research. So the abstracts or the summary that you provide for a research proposal is completely different to what you submit for a journal or a conference or a thesis, right? So here, what you state is the research problem, objectives, and the expected outcomes. We will look into that as well in the next few slides. Then we will discuss about conference papers. Uh, it is very similar to the journal abstract, and the thesis, the fourth one. It's I think there's material-wise, the technical, it's not different to a conference, the abstract or a journal abstract, but the only difference is it can be a little longer, right? And your supervisor and the reviewers might need the novel findings to be highlighted more than a conference paper or a journal paper, because a thesis would cover a wider scope than a conference paper or a journal paper, right? Therefore, the write up of a thesis abstract needs more attention to be paid for the findings and the originality, because especially if you are doing a PhD, everybody will be looking for new things, novelty, originality. Therefore, the abstract itself, the bulk of the abstract has to be devoted uh, 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 to the findings, right? And then we have graphical abstracts, right? So I'm not going to discuss about executive summaries. Usually they are placed in policy documents, in technical documents or business reports. They're essentially summaries of different sections that you have included in the report. So I'm not going to discuss about that unless otherwise you want some information about it. Let's discuss about the journal abstracts. Uh, I think now there are seven things that I have taken this from University of Wisconsin. Their writing clinic. The web link is given there. If you want more information, please have a look at that. Most well-written abstracts, there's a typical sequence of information, right? Now this the sequence of information is given in 7 uh, steps or parts, right? So let us look at these 7 sections one by one. The abstract, now the content of the abstract, the abstract should have all these 7 put together in one paragraph. The first, the context or background information for your research, general topic under the study, the specific topic of your research, right? So you start the abstract by start by introducing the general topic you are working on. Give the reader a bit of background of what you are doing. What is the specific issue or the area of interest of your research? So the first part of your abstract, it can be part of a sentence, it can be 2 sentences, depends on the information that you want to include. So the context or background, the first part, gives the reader a sense of orientation, what to expect next, right? So the second section of the abstract, the second part of the abstract is the central questions or statement of the problem of your research that is addressed. That is a central question or the research problem that you are putting forward. This is very critical because it will tell the reader what problem that you are trying to tackle, trying to solve. That is important, right? And the third section of your abstract should focus on what's already known about the question, what previous research has done or shown, because you have to show a research gap without which no research can move forward, right? What's already known. Briefly mention what others have done, right? But you cannot make any citations here, right? So because this third part sets the stage for your contribution to relate to the previous work. And it follows the fourth section here, the main reasons, the need or the rationale or the goals of your research, right? You try to explain why your study is important. What is the need for the research? What you are trying to achieve? And this fourth part will help the reader understand the purpose behind your work, the need, the need, the research goal, or the aim, or the objectives, whatever they are. Goals and objectives can be the same. And that brings you to the fifth part. There is one of the most important parts of the abstract, where you describe your methods, right? Short description of your approach or the method, what you did, how you did it, experiments, theoretical development, simulations, case studies, fieldwork, questionnaire-based studies, whatever they are. There's no need to go into details, but just give a short summary of what you have done. And the sixth and the seventh are the most important part, your findings, results, and arguments. And 7 is the significance or implications of your study, right? So basically, now your abstract would should be asking. So should answer these. Why did you do this study? How did you do it? And what did you find? Right. So the first 1, 2, 3, 4 gives that answer. Why did you do the study? 5. How did you do the study? The method. And what did you find? And why does it matter? 6 and 7 will answer that. Right. So why did you do it? How did you do it? What did you find? Those are the answers for all the 3 questions would be in the abstract. Now I would like to give you an example. Right now, this is a very simple abstract that I have randomly taken from a research paper. And on the top, you have these 7, I would say, the components, 7 important information that to be included in the abstract. Can you identify where these 7 are within this abstract? Now, the advection equation is one of the most commonly used models in environmental fluid dynamics. Despite this, there exist a very few analytical solutions to this equation. right? Now, it is important for you to understand this. This has taken from a paper called Advection Problems with Spatially Varying Velocity Fields, 1D and 2D Analytical Numerical Solutions. Now, where is the context or the background, the general specific topic under the study? Now, if you go through the first sentence, it gives the context or the background information, right? So it gives it's about the advection equation, right? And it says it's the most commonly used models, right? It gives the context or the background information, right? And where is the second part? Despite this, now this is the deviation of the thing. It gives uh, uh, the critical question, right? That this the word despite this uh, will define the problem, right? There exist few analytical solutions to this equation for the case where the velocity field is spatially varying. Now, can you see this refers to the central question and also what is already known and also reasons or the goals of your research, right? Now, if there exist very few analytical solutions, now this paper is definitely f- now when referring to there exist a few analytical solutions, it refers to the previous work, right? Despite this, there exist very analytical. So what is already known, previous research has not done. That is referring to the previous work, and then the current state of knowledge and the rationale need and goals in this work. Now this 2, 3, and 4 are already embedded in there, and the this long section here starting from in this work. He's the author is describing the work that he has done, your research, analytical methods, blah blah blah, right? And then the last paragraph gives two things. It is found that the upwind, so it gives the what the findings are, results and arguments. And the last part, uh, while as is the case for non-divergent velocity fields, the first and second upward models have some serious drawbacks. So it gives some arguments, some significance or implications, right? Now, can you see all these seven are included in this abstract? Right? So when you have time, please go through and see how this abstract has been very nicely put together. Take another example here, right? This article is again taken from a journal, Multidimensional Tropical Forest Recovery. Uh, Now there's no time for us to go through this. Now say the first one, the context or the background. Tropical forests disappear rapidly because of deforestation. Now he's looking at tropical forests and deforestation and the impact of deforestation. So background is given just by a very short sentence. Now the word yet, it sets the stage to put the central question forward, right? Uh, and the second part, yet they have the potential to regrow naturally on abandoned lands. Now, how does the researcher know that it has a potential? Because he has gone through the previous work, right? He has gone through the previous work, and he has found that these tropical forests have the potential to regrow naturally on abandoned land, right? And now, without even saying, now it is obvious that what is the focus of the the research? He is now going to look at the regrowth potential of these tropical forests and abandoned lands. Even without saying that, it's given in this particular sentence. Now, this sentence, even it is part of a sentence, it gives three types of information: the central question, what is already known, and the goal of the research. And then the bulk of the research sorry, the next sentence, we analyze how 12 forest attributes recover, blah, blah, blah. So there is the methodology. And the bulk of the next write-up is all about the findings, the results, right? with all the statistical or the numerical values. And the last sentence is the conclusion or the findings or the argument. Secondary forests should be embraced as a low-cost natural solution for economic ecosystem restoration, climate change, blah blah. So that is the final outcome that is there, right? Now another example that I can give you. Uh, So let us look at this now. Now it starts with due to increasing tendency. Now he starts with the central question, right? And now due to the now that is the problem he's identified due to the increasing tendency to construct taller and more slender buildings, the need to address aerodynamic and induced dynamic forces under both service and strength level wind loads have become more important. Now, he has referred to previous literature, and he has found that increasing tendency to construct tall and more slender buildings, and he has found that there's a need to address aerodynamics, right? So this the due to the word due to is important here because it gives the context as and the rest of the sentence gives the context as well as uh, the 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 central question, and also this need to address gives the rationale and the goal, right? So it gives you one, two, three, and so many things. And at the lower part of the sentence, you have this uh, has become more important. It's very important word to use, right? And then currently application currently it gives you the what is already known, number three, and then there's another word here, however. This word, however, is very important here because it deviates from the previous word, and if it gives you the reasons why you do the research, and the research need is defined here, right? May not the deviation of the present research and the research gap you identify. So you have one and two covered here, three covered here, what is already known, and four the reasons and the goals of your research. And then the results of this study, the findings is given here. And from the last point onwards, it gives both the results and the discussion, the implications of the study, right? So I have given you another example. You can go through this leisurely when you have time. Uh, and another example, a fifth one. Please have a look at these examples, right? These are all animated. You can have a look at these examples. So I'm not going into all these examples because it's time consuming. Uh, And now that is how you should make journal abstracts. Please always make sure that you have all these seven attributes put into the abstract writing. The context, the central question, what is already known about the question, the main reasons why you are doing, the methods, and the main findings and the significance and the implications, right? Now there's no hard and fast rule of which section should be the longest. You may have seen that depending on the nature of what you are trying to report, either if the methodology is original, you can devote more space for the methodology. If you are more focused on the results and the discussion, you can do so, but always try to be very short in the first to the context and the central question, and also what is already known, right? Focus on 4, 5, 6, and 7 in a longer write-ups. Now we will move on to a closer look at the specific types of abstracts now. Now this is for a research proposal. Uh, Now, as I told you before, this type of an abstract is different from the one that we have already discussed for a complete research, the abstract, the journal paper or conference paper, right? Now here, what your objective would be to get the approval, get funding approved, or get some collaboration effected, right? So your objective would be to write about what you're planning to do rather than what you have already done, right? So this type of abstract is therefore different from the one that we have already discussed, right? Think of this as the first step in your research. You're basically saying to you start with a research proposal to your supervisor if you want to do a degree, submit a thesis later on, right? That is where you start with a research proposal submitted to the supervisor. Later, with your supervisor, you might submit a research proposal to a funding agency, probably to the NSF or NRC. Later, you might be submitting another proposal to look for some collaborators from another university. Whatever they are, uh, you have to report what you want to study, what it, and also you have to say why you want to study it and how you plan it, how you plan to do it, and why it is important to do it, right? Those are the things that you need to place in the the research proposal, the abstracts of a research proposal, right? So to present the essential meaning of the proposal, the abstract will indicate the research question. You have to first write your research question very clearly, state what question you are trying to answer, your theoretical position, and the significance or the need of your work, right? The problem that you want to study, investigate, experiment with, right? So you have to explain why this, why why your research proposal is important. So this definitely should include a section on the need for conducting this study and the significance of the work. And the second part, your hypothesis and the major objectives, right? So what do you expect to find? What do you expect to prove? What do you expect to present as the final outcome of your research, the results? What specific goals are you setting for your study? Those are the objectives, right? These show the direction and the intention that you have to conduct the study. Number three, you have to outline, you have to say your plan of action and the procedures to be followed to accomplish the objectives. Your plan of action, your plan of procedures. You need to explain how you will carry out your research, what methods that you would adopt, what processes that you will use, what experimental procedures that you will adopt, what mathematical modeling techniques that you would adopt. If you are doing any simulation work, what are the programming languages that you use? If you are using software packages, what are they? If you are using some statistical methods, what they are. Right. So you don't need to you don't need to put everything together here. Technical details can come later, but in this we are talking of an abstract for research proposal. So you have to be clear, logical, and concise of your research plan. And the fourth one, the potential impact of your research. This is the part that anybody will be looking at, especially your supervisor or your funding agency. They'll be looking at the potential impact of your work, right? And your relationship to previous work, your experience, right? So why does this matter? What kind of results could it lead to? That is the potential impact that we are talking of, right? Could it help in solving some problem, advancing a theory, opening up a new area, so giving some more practical solutions to existing problems, right? So whatever they are, the potential impact is very important, which will be the only reason why somebody would like to supervise your research, somebody would like to collaborate with you, somebody would like to fund your research, right? So to sum up with this, the abstract that you include in the research proposal is all about what you will do and what you have done already to define the problem and to identify the objectives. It must be, please understand, it has to be persuasive, forward looking and clear, because the proposal is sent for someone's approval, support, funding, right? So it's not like accepting a conference paper or a journal paper. It has to be accepted for support, funding, supervision, etc. Right? So let's go into a little bit of more details for a research proposal. I'm not talking about a research proposal. I'm talking about abstracts that you include in a research proposal, right? It has to be concise. Length depends on the specific guidelines, right? If you are planning to submit a research proposal to the NRC, it's half a page usually. But if you are submitting a research proposal to Erasmus or some large grants, European Community grants, the abstract for the proposal itself would be about 2 pages, right? You have to summarize how you relate your idea to the real world, general or specific topics, and also show the gap and the need. Why do why should we be doing this? That is very important, right? And then you need to state your goals, present your goals and objectives. You have to be very clear. You have to very clearly lay out your aims and objectives that you want to achieve. You have to be very specific what your research goals are and what do you hope to discover, design, prove, do, survey on, and things like that, right? And then the outline your plan and methods. Summarize your it's the summary of your methodology, right? Because without a proper methodology, you might not be able to relate what you're planning to do and what you expect to obtain as results, right? So this methodology is how you are going to go about answering the research question. What steps will you take to solve the problem, right? Whether you have to say whether it's logical, whether it's realistic, whether it's scientifically acceptable. Because the methodology, if it is not scientifically acceptable, nobody will take care of looking at your proposal. And next, expand your expected or achieved results. If you have done some preliminary work so far, you can explain them. But here you have to postulate. You have to predict what your results would be once you do the research, right? So you are, I mean, there can be some contingencies, but you can describe what kind of results that you can expect, right? Uh, and then one before the last bullet here, what do the findings mean? What is their significance? This is important because anybody would want to know how to interpret the results, right? So what would these results mean? How would they contribute to the objective, solve a problem? How can we get uh, this published, right? And lastly, how will your efforts contribute to the advancement of science? Anybody, the supervisor, would also think, okay, by supervising the student, what is the gain that I get? Whether can I get the student to write some papers so that I can include my name? The funding agencies might be looking at if there are papers published based on the funded research. What is the publicity that we can get as an organization? If it is a commercially funded project, the funding agency might be looking at the viability of the research outcomes for their own gains. But that is how technology would advance. right? Even this research and development is all about technology advancements, right? So the funding agencies are naturally looking at the final outcomes, right? So whenever you write your proposal abstracts, always think of it as making a case to show, to say, this is my problem. This is why it matters. This is how this is how I'm planning to study it. And this is what I can expect by doing this, right? So these are the things that you have to make sure that you have included in the abstract, right? And the the research question to be included in the proposal. Now, in the proposal, the research question is very important because the research question and will lead to the objectives. The objectives will lead to the final outcomes. So there's a chain of information that flows from the research question. The research question has to be done after a thorough review of the previous literature, what others have done, right? So in a proposal, even somebody might refer to this again. In a proposal, you have to have a proper research question defined, right? So why it is so important? Because the research question is the foundation of the entire study. The proposal depends on the research question. If it is weak, the proposal itself will be a weaker write-up. A strong, well-thought research question always will guide your design, your methodology, your analysis, and even how you write your proposal thereafter, right? Without a proper research question, you will be stuck when you want to describe the final outcomes, what you can expect from the research, you will be stuck, right? So we will go through one by one. The research question should be capable of development into research design so that data may be collected in relation to them, right? So it has to be researchable, right? The second should connect with established theories. There should be review of literature. This is very important, right? So you cannot work within a vacuum. A good research question will always build upon what others have done. That's why I said review of literature is so important at the time of your definition of your research need and the objectives rather than at a later stage, right? That is why you need a thorough literature review at the beginning of your study, right? Uh, and the third bullet point, research question is important to make connections with theory and research that will also allow you to show how your research will contribute to knowledge and understanding, right? So it should show how your research contributes knowledge. Your question should lead to new knowledge, new insight, not just a repetition of what is already known. And it doesn't have to be revolutionary or groundbreaking. It can add something, right? A new perspective, a new method, comparison, even the way that you argue things, right? Some things that are poorly understood in the past, right? So, in contrast to the abstracts that you include in the conference papers or journal papers that you write at the end of your research, this proposal writing, the abstract, the research proposal itself should be supported by a very strong research question, right? And it has to be summarized in the abstract also, and this can occupy bulk of the abstract that you include in the research proposal. And the one before the last, research questions should be linked to each other. Unrelated research questions are unlikely to acceptable. They need to be logically connected. Your ideas should be logically connected. There can be multiple multiple the ideas that you put together, but please connect them logically, right? And always look at your research proposal to see whether you have some potential for contributing to knowledge, right? So that is how you should make a good research proposal and make a good summary of the research proposal. Now let us go to the next section, the conference abstract. The conference abstract is a short summary you submit when you want to present your research at a conference. It might be in the middle of your research, or it can be at the end of the research. You can submit the thesis only at the end of your research, but you can, of course, submit conference papers, journal papers in the middle of your research. Once you have some results to be presented, you can think of conference paper. You can think of a journal paper in the middle of your research. The cycle. If you can at least have one objective completed, you can do that, right? First, the conference abstract is one submitted for consideration to present a paper or a project at a professional gathering. Your primary audience for the abstract is the conference review committee. The conference participants will act as your secondary audience. What does that mean? You submit your conference abstract to the conference review committee. That is a primary audience. They will be the first to read your paper, right? And they will decide whether your research is good enough, clear enough, and relevant enough to be included in the conference. If the abstract is not well written, not strong, you might be rejected, right? So you have to be careful when you write a conference paper, because the rate of rejection sometimes can be a little high, right? Depending on the conference theme. Now, second, now the conference paper can go through, right? Sometimes if the conference organizers are desperate of getting papers submitted, they might not reject any, right? There are conferences like those, right? And in that case, the secondary audience would the secondary audience would be the participants. They also will go through the paper, and they might say, "Wah, what kind of research that is," right? They might be judging your uh, the contents of your work. They might criticize you. They might, if you have done it well, they might praise you. They might want to talk to you. They might want to clarify certain doubts if they have. They might want to collaborate with you in the future. So with a good conference paper, it's a direct one-to-one interaction that you have with the audience, right? It gets you connected with similar minds, people, researchers who are working in similar themes, right? So always try to present conference papers clearly so that you make an impact of your presence and your work, right? So once you abstract, now the second, follow the guidelines for abstract submission, including the length of the abstract carefully. The length of the abstract is you have to read through the guidelines for abstract submission very carefully. Include the length of the abstract carefully. This means the difference between outright rejection or getting to the second phase. If the conference organizer, the review committee, if they're not happy with the submission, they reject it right away, right? So once accepted, they will publish it in a conference booklet, right? So now the tricky part is the most conference abstracts are submitted before the research is fully complete. Now, you just keep on submitting conference papers. But that's okay. Conferences are for open for discussions. Don't ever think that you need all the work to be completed to present a conference paper. Conferences are meant for symposia, for example. The very meaning of symposia is a discussion forum, right? So you can have your problems listed, and you can present it and ask the audience, what are your thoughts about this? This is what I'm going to do. I have not achieved the results so far. I don't know what the mistakes I have done. Can you please comment on this, right? So those are the objectives that you have. If I just presenting your concluded findings in a conference, that might not be interesting. But if you're presenting a conference paper in the middle of your research to clarify certain things, to get feedback from the audience, great. That I think would be one of the objectives of having a conference paper. Uh, uh, now, Now there's a small comic strip here. Now there's a supervisor and a student. The supervisor here says, "I want you to submit an abstract to a conference that is happening in 7 months, right? Uh, in 7 months." And but the student says, "But I have no idea what kind of results I'll have in 7 months." Right? And the supervisor says, "Don't worry. The trick is to make it as big and as open to interpretation as possible. The more ambiguous, the better." Right? Uh, and the student says, is is that why it is called an abstract? It's an abstract art form. Abstract art is not something that is very clear to see, right? So this deep meaning, even if then the supervisors are trying to misguide this, uh, there is a pity, right? If the students have no idea of what is going to happen in so many times to come, they should not force the students to publish their work, right? When they say that, try to be ambiguous, and if it is better, I don't think it is in the best spirit of publishing your research. But there are things like this happens, right? So you need to be honest when you publish, right? Especially in conference paper, conference publications. I won't say it's conference publications, but conference presentations, because the review process itself is not that strict, so you can find some loopholes, but always be honest, right? If your results are pending, just say the what kind of results that you expect, what insights that you are aiming to develop. That is what is a conference is for. And if you have doubts, if you are not sure about your methods, if you are not if you are doubtful of receiving good results, you ask the audience, "This is a problem that I have. If somebody has some suggestions, please tell me." Right? Always focus on the motivation, problem, methods, expected outcomes, because you can present them openly and get comments from the audience, right? So, but as I given you here, please uh, go through the submission guidelines, without which uh, your paper will be rejected, right? So let us go to the next slide, the next section, thesis abstracts. Thesis abstracts, uh, no, thesis abstracts so that is again that is the first thing that an examiner would read, right? So try to make a strong impression by putting up a good thesis abstract, right? Uh, the abstract is the most important component presented at the beginning of your thesis. It's likely it's the first substantive description of your work read by an examiner. You should review it as an opportunity to set the positive expectations, right? So you have to make sure that the abstract is the it's a summary of the entire thesis, not just the introduction and the background. Sometimes you cut and paste certain things, but it is not the case, right? Abstract should present all the major elements of your work, right? But you don't have to have if you have 6 chapters, don't make it equal sections for each chapter, right? Depending on the thrust areas. I would suggest for a research thesis, the results and discussion part should be should you need to allocate more space for results and discussion, rather than the preliminary discussion, the rationale and the background studies, right? Uh, but you can discuss that with your supervisor as well, right? The third bullet point, an abstract often functions together with the thesis title as a standalone text. Abstracts appear in bibliographical indexes. They may also be present in announcements of the thesis examination, right? So even when sometimes when we want to find examiners for theses, we send out the abstract, right? And then the examiners would join in the evaluation panel, knowing what the research is all about, right? So it is something that you need to know about. Right? One before the last, an abstract is not merely an introduction or a preface or preamble or advanced organizer that prepares the reader for the thesis. Right? Don't ever think that this is very critical. Right? Don't ever refer to the now to other sections. Don't say that I have discussed this in chapter 3. Chapter the results are available in page 27. Don't ever give any references to the rest of the thesis. This is not acceptable. Don't ever refer to other sections of the thesis. Right? The abstract has to speak for itself. It has it if somebody takes out the abstract and places it somewhere, if somebody reads the abstract, he or she should understand the content without referring to any other parts, right? So always the one before the last, the abstract is not merely an introduction or preface. Don't ever think that it's just an introduction to your thesis. And also don't list the contents of your thesis. Don't say that the first part describes this, second paragraph, chapter describes this, third paragraph, the chapter describes this. It's not that. It's a summary of the thesis, but when you compare summary and an abstract, they are two different. Abstract should represent the whole thesis, right? Even though it's a summary, it's not just summarizing each chapter, right? It has to have the essence of all the chapters put together. It must always, you remember, it must be capable of substituting for the whole thesis, right? Now, you have limited space to write, maybe one page, but still it should be capable of putting all the messages put together as one page. It can have several paragraphs, that's okay, right? So, the next slide, the size and the structure that your university might decide on at Moratua, and most of the universities, they have one page abstract, uh, a short abstract for undergraduate and MSc, and for PhD dissertation, it's a long abstract. But the longer and the shorter, it's also not that different. 250 pages is about three-quarters of a page. Say 350 words is just one full A4 size page, right? So that may not sound like much, especially for when you take months and months to complete your thesis. But it's a challenging task. It might take a couple of weeks for you to complete the abstract, right? But it's good if put some effort in doing these theses. So so 350, and the third, the structure of the abstract should mirror the structure of the whole thesis, and should now it is the sequence. You give an introduction, then your objectives, your research need objectives, and the rationale of your thesis, the work, and summarize your objectives, and then the methods, results, and discussion, and the final conclusions. That is the mirror of the structure. But you don't have to allocate equal space, right? You can structure it in a way that you put more emphasis on certain things, right? Uh, so you had to have some framework, right? So key elements of the thesis should be what your research is about, what others have. That is the introduction. What others have said about the research. That is the literature review. What did you do? There is the methodology. What did you find? There is the results. And why it matters? There is the discussion part. And then the conclusions. If you want to extend, you can have recommendations also, but usually in the abstract, you don't write any recommendations, right? So the thesis abstracts, the final, the some of the focus that you need to do. Uh, as in the thesis itself, the research need question objectives are critical in ensuring that the abstract is coherent and logically structured. They form the skeleton to which other elements adhere. This is important. This is very, you have put this very early in the abstract, uh, and this research need, the question and objectives, because they are the basis for your thesis. I think it's the skeleton of the whole work, right? So please try to describe them clearly, right? Without a clear write-up on research needs, the question and objectives, your thesis abstract will be weak, right? So then these research need question and objective should be placed near the beginning of the abstract, not in deeper in the abstract, hidden, right? Near the beginning, as early as possible. Readers should not have to dig around, to go deeper into the abstract to find out what your research is all about, right? Write the objectives, the research need objectives within the first few sentences, right? Because if readers would like to know, that your supervisors, your evaluators would like to know what is the research problem is, why is this important, what your objectives are, right? And the third bullet point here, there is only room for 1 to 3 sentences. Don't ever think that you can, if you have 2 pages written on the research need, research problem, and the objectives in your thesis. Now in the abstract, you will have just 1, 2, 3 sentences to write about it, right? So you have to always think about what the research problem is, why it is important, what your objectives are. Put that in 1 or 2 sentences. That is a challenge, but you need to be concise, focused, and select the words, right? Uh, so state the need, question, and objectives clearly, place them at the beginning, and then keep them very concise, precise, focused, ideally written in 2 or 3 sentences. 2 or 3 sentences will account for about 25 to 30 words. That is about 1/10 of your abstract. Please bear that in mind. And don't forget the results. Thesis abstracts, for thesis, the results are the most important part, right? The most common error in thesis abstracts is failure to present results appropriately, because the results are the ones that will make your thesis original, right? Don't forget the results, right? I have written that in red. This is not just it's not a warning, but it's very critical. I have gone through hundreds of theses. Students spend most of the time abstract explaining what they did. Methodology is not very important to be included in the method in the abstract of a thesis, right? Uh, just devote the shortest possible length for the methodology, right? Uh, 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 and always focus on the things that you have found, right? The primary function of your thesis abstract is not to tell readers what or how you did it. It is to tell them what you discovered and found. That is very important. The primary function, you have to understand that, of the thesis abstract is to tell the reader, to communicate the reader what you have discovered, what you have found, and they might not be interested in how you did it. Late, if they are interested in how you did it, they might refer to your methodology chapter later on, right? And uh, so your other information, such as the count of your research methods, is needed mainly to back the claims. You can leave them behind if you don't need them. And approximately the last half of the abstract should be dedicated to summarizing and interpreting your results. The bulk of your thesis abstract should devote to results, discussion, and interpretation of your observations. That will give you the originality of your research, right? So you can always look for a structured format. Now this the structured format is something like this, right? Now, these structured formats, I referred to this earlier. These structured formats are now usually the two top journals, Science and Nature, they want the abstracts to be submitted in a structured way. They want different sections for different to describe the different parts. Now, this the left corner one was taken from Nature. The other two are from Science. You can see abstract, objective, methods, results, conclusions. Now here also the middle one, introduction, the rationale or rationale or results and conclusion. The same format for both the ones taken from the science. Now can you see the third one, the results is longer than any other sections. But in the middle one, the rationale or the objective or their thrust area, probably they are proposing a new method, right? So they have given prominence to the second section. In the first, the left corner also, the results have been given more prominence. I would suggest when you write an abstract, always for a thesis, right? Always have these subsections, a structured abstract, and later you remove these subtitles, and then you will have all these sections covered. Now, the first draft of your abstract might be about 2-3 pages long. Later, try to revise it, try to trim it down to 1 page. Right. The first draft might have maybe the abstract might be about 2-3 pages long. Don't worry about it. You talk to your supervisor. You think for yourself, and please try to to revise it part by part, and then you will end up with a structured abstract, which are the ideal ones to be included in a thesis, not one paragraph abstracts, right? But if your supervisor doesn't allow you to have these subtitles, please remove them. Right. Structured abstracts, they are commonly used in science and engineering journals, top journals like Nature, Science, even IEEE journals, they prefer structured abstracts. They are becoming more widespread, but now when they want to have structured abstracts, they are a little longer than traditional journals. Right, they have about more than 300, about 500 to 600 words, right? Now, especially these top medical journals, they always prefer to have structured abstracts than short abstracts, like JAMA, or the Journal of American Medical Association, or New England Journal of Medicine, those, and the Lancet. These are the three top medical journals, all the three, and also Science, Nature, the top journals. They all have gone to they have decided to go for structured abstracts because they are more meaningful than short abstracts, right? The next section that we have is about graphical abstracts, a modern and increasingly essential component of academic communication. Now, can you look at this text abstract here? This is about a study that has been conducted in China, looking at uh, uh, some river basins and the distribution of heavy metals in the river basin, right? And this abstract has been converted to a graphical abstract here, right? Now, the things which are not visible here are visible in this abstract. You can see the locations, but the locations here, even though you say I can't remember, this Zhejiang River Basin, nobody knows where it is, and this industrial intensive Dahitan sub basin, right? And where the samples have been taken. They say that they have taken so many samples here and there. When you have this graphical abstract combined together with the if I put this together, just a moment. if I present these two together, now while reading the abstract, while reading the text abstract, you can, if you have this graphical abstract side by side, your understanding would be much clearer, much better, right? The graphical abstract combined with the text abstract will provide detailed information about the study background, the methodology, findings, conclusions, because the graphical abstract can present certain things which the text abstract cannot say in words. And on the other hand, the graphical abstract will not be able to describe the observations. But if you put both together, the text abstract will describe in words, where the graphical abstract cannot describe. On the other hand, the graphical abstract will present certain visually created features where the verbal description would be difficult otherwise, right? Now, for example, now if you compare these two, the study area, this particular the river basin, right? So its geometry and the size of it with a scale. Now, if somebody has to describe this in text, it will take pages and pages of writing, right? And then the quantitative analysis is given here. And on the right-hand side, the sampling locations are given, right? And the middle, you have two graphical representations, the quantitative analysis, right? Heavy metal distribution in certain, so the heavy metal and the concentration levels. If you want to describe these two graphs, on the first graph, you have two sections. On the bottom graph, you have another section. If you want to describe this in text, it will take pages and pages for you to describe. But when you have this graphical the abstract supported by uh, the text abstract. For example, the third line, the study took the industrial-intensive Dahitan sub-basin as the typical area. The factors and interaction affected distribution of soil, heavy metals, cadmium, mercury, arsenic, lead, chromium, uh, and the results showed that cadmium, arsenic, chromium primarily affected the natural factors, pH, soil. All these are described here, right? Without referring to these numbers or anything. If these are complementary to each other, they are easy for the reader to understand what the authors are trying to say, right? And also these observations have now put as to the map again to show the high risk areas. And now if you want to describe these high risk areas in words, it will be a bit complicated, right? High risk areas for cadmium, for each of these five metals. By just looking at this, it saves a lot of time of the writers. Are sections from the graphical abstract extracted from? Yeah, sometimes, yeah. I think, for example, in this example, these might be these maps and all these graphs may be part of the results and the study methods and so on, right? So we'll look at some other graphical abstracts also. You can there's no restriction. You can use the same material that you have used in the study, and then combine it in a way that it logically presents the study in a nutshell. For example, the sample locations here, and they have given the results, and then they have converged that into high risk areas. Probably all these are taken from the paper itself, right? So the value of the graphical abstract is very clear here. It communicates the essence of the study at a glance. And also, it's easy to understand. The visual storytelling is much more effective, right? And also, it is very attractive. The graphical abstract cannot replace the text. The text has to be there. graphical abstract to be there, and they are complementary. They complement each other, right? So, and the effort that you take in putting all the results in one short paragraph as the abstract is not difficult now. Always, you can't refer to the graphical abstract, but you can describe just in one or two sentences, and the reader can refer that sentence to the graphical abstract and understand what you want to say, right? So don't ever think that the graphical abstract will replace the text abstract. No, they are complementary. They help both together, will help the readers to understand what your abstract is all about. Another example that I can give you now here. Now, this is again the graphical abstract. Probably the question that was asked last time. Now, this probably might not be the from the paper. Probably the authors may have formulated this graphical abstract with the results that they got. Probably they might not have included in other parts of the paper, right? So this example is also very nice. I took them these randomly. They might not be relevant to our discussion, but what I want to show is the beauty of complementing both the graphical abstract and the text abstract. Now the text abstract here that you have on the left is thorough, right? If you go through that, it's very well explained. But when you combine that with the graphical abstract, this is very strong, right? The reader doesn't have to now the writer doesn't have to mention about the numbers or how big they are, because the graphical abstract would give the annual average flow, the variation, the variability, the time duration, and so on, right? And also the monitoring size and heavy metal levels and the concentrations, everything is given here. Now this the blue box here on the right is very informative. The monitoring sites on the x-axis, y-axis the six types of heavy metals, and also the color bar, the legend here would give the concentration levels, and everything is included in a very nice graphical way of presentation, right? And then the left hand side of the graphical abstracts will give information about runoff changes. The right hand side about heavy metal enrichment. If you combine both these two, will give you the end results, right? So this is a very well prepared graphical abstract, and the reader doesn't have to go through over and over again and the full paper to understand what is going about this, right? So it is very clear, visually very logical flow, right? Now they have put these statistical plots, flow charts on the bottom. So they are all very well used, right? Now you need some extra uh, uh, effort put here to make the graphical abstract. Now almost all the journals nowadays need graphical abstracts, but putting some effort in producing graphical abstracts is also worth, because nowadays readers first look at the graphical abstract and then the text abstract, and then try to connect the two to see whether the paper is worth reading, right? So you can see the complex relationships are presented in graphical abstracts very effectively, and the reader can very quickly assess the relevance of the full paper and connect that with the text and understand it very clearly, right? And also the authors, the writers of papers also now find it easy to write the text abstract, because you can have a complementary graphical abstract to go with the text abstract. Now, without giving you the text abstract here, I will just give you an example of this. Now you can see now without even going through the text abstract, you can understand what is going on here, right? Uh, Now this is a tumor, right? So the tumor has a microenvironment mimicking the microenvironment, And the 3D scaffolding model have been used to describe it, right? What are the descriptions? Design a therapy for the treatment. The patient is here, and then the once you design therapy, and the patient might give some feedback, or the some treatment methods can give feedback to improve the 3D model. So this is a two-way process, and this the so-called three. I don't understand what this scaffolding is, but this 3D scaffolding method can be refined by going doing the design therapy and improving the 3D models with the patient information. And then once you have this 3D the 3D scaffolding, uh, biomaterial microenvironment for therapeutic responses, you can develop a medicine to uh, attack the tumor, right? So even without reading the text abstract, readers can at least get some idea to a certain extent. And while looking at this, if it is interesting for the reader, he will go through the text abstract to identify to see whether his understanding is good enough, and go through the paper, and the paper will be very useful, right? So this connects tumor, this scaffolding method, the in vitro, and then patient information continuous feedback loop in to and from, and it will improve the lab model and better simulation of tumors, and improve the treatment specific treatment methods, right? So again, another example for me to give you is this. Now this is one the function of our microbiota, who is out there and what do they do. Now, now the diagram traces the human microbiome from birth to from unborn, baby, toddler, adult, and elderly, right? Different age categories, 5 age categories, birth to old age. Now, and also now unborn, you just you take that out, and then this microbiota are 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Right? You have say breastfed, formula fed, and solid food, right? And for a toddler, antibiotic treatment, healthy. Well, they are trying to say study the growth by looking at what their attributes are. And can you see now this graphical abstract has is very meaningful. The feeding method is given, the diet is given, and the health condition is given. Because for toddlers, the functions are dependent on the food, right? And for toddlers, both ability to resist disease and food and their nutrition. But when you grow old, you have different options, right? uh, Health conditions and aging. Now, without now, if you want to describe these, now you can see these pie charts for each of these sections. I'm not going to details of this, right? Now there are for toddlers, there are 8 pie charts put here in 3 different categories, right? For toddler, one, two, three, 4 pie charts, 3 different categories. In one category, there are 2 pie charts, right? Now, by looking at this, the person, I'm not say expert on this, but by looking at this, you can see that there's a lot of information presented graphically, and that cannot be described in textual formats, right? If you want to say that babies, there are 4 different categories, and for breastfeeding, this is the variation, and the second variation is this, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attributes, and one is 10%, the other is 30%, and so on, and you will end up with so many numbers without having any meaningful description. Right. So in the description, but in the latter part of the paper, you can have any number of graphs, any number of tables, any number of figures, right? But in the abstract, you can't have any numbers. So many numbers because the numbers cannot be a comparison when you see a list of numbers, right? But this graphical abstract gives you a very good description of different age categories, different attributes, and depicted by these pie charts. And these pie charts also may have a meaning, right? So this graphical abstract has condensed very complex data, right? Different disciplines, different age categories, blah blah blah, and this. For those who can understand, I'm not an expert on this, but this is a very informative way of doing things. And the last the example that I can give you here. Uh, Now see these location-wise information. This is just a example of a layout, right? You can have location-wise graphical abstracts. You can have flow chart-based abstracts. You can have tables. You can compare things. You can have timelines. You can have organograms. You can have schemes. You can have any combination of these put together, right? These locationalized abstracts. Now we saw that in China, the first example that I gave you, there were maps combined with the charts and tables, and gave some very good graphical abstracts, right? Because this describing the locations in a text abstract is so difficult, and also the flow, the best the processes, mechanisms, the experimental methods, all these can be described in a flow chart, right? Sometimes these statistical comparisons, uh, categorically arranged or comparative data can be very clearly depicted, presented by a table, right? And this comparison, you can have graphs compared. Now the ones that now here, these are the comparisons that somebody can have, right? So these comparisons are very useful when you put these together. You can compare, right? So this is a comparison between two different timelines, and this box is a comparison between different monitoring sites, right? So comparisons also can be done very effectively when you have graphical representations. Timelines, of course, they are great for longitudinal data, the temporal data. Organograms for hierarchical structures. Probably if you are doing some biological research, some classifications, taxonomy. If you want to draw a decision tree, you can have some things. Schemes, bubble diagrams are very useful. You can do them for anything, right? So for say drafting a graphical abstract is a challenge, but you need to master that also for submission, right? Now, just some things to remember. Always include a few introductory sentences to give context to the research and a brief summary of the previous research. That is the first part that we discussed. And then the second part of your abstract, indicate why your research work is innovative and original. And always try to emphasize the gap that you are trying to fill. Then clearly state the research question. Include a few lines on methodology and the research design. And large part of your abstract should devote to prominent findings, right? For conference abstracts, this can be done even if your research work is at preliminary stage. If you have no results, you can talk about what to expect in conference abstracts. This is always allowed because conferences are meant for discussion, right? You don't have to conclude your research to present a paper at a conference. Number 6, close with a sentence to show the potential of your implication of your work. This is what we have discussed so far, right? And also remember to ensure that the abstract is content-wise, right? Self-contained. It should stand on its own. Therefore, the content introduced in the abstract must be reinforced in the main text, right? And number 8, you need to include numbers when appropriate, because numbers are easy to catch the attention and understand rather than descriptions, right? If needed, add quantitative data and graphical data as much as possible in the graphical abstract so that it will be complementary, right? Number 9, do not only mention the positive findings. Always try to argue, explicitly state if there are any things that are negative. That is all about all about the research outcomes. There can be things that you want to highlight as negative or non-significant results. State them clearly, right? Uh, Put your arguments clear, right? And also be critical of your own methods also, right? If you were unable to arrive at certain conclusions, say why that is so. That is also part of your research, right? So it will give you a more complete picture of your research than hiding it, right? And then those are the things to remember. And also these are additional things that you need to remember. Proofread your abstract before sending it, because you always make the abstract in a hurry. Always proofread your abstract very carefully, right? Typos, grammar errors, they all leave a bad impression. If possible, ask a friend or a colleague to read it and give some feedback, right? Don't ever send abstracts with typological errors, grammatical errors. And number 2, try not to omit any parts of what's discussed in the previous list. Now I've given you 2 lists in the above. Always try to make sure that all those elements are included. Number 3, avoid ambiguity. Do not be ambiguous when stating the focus of your abstract. Make sure that you explain in a clear and a concise way what the aim of your work is. That is very important. Number 4, don't use jargon and unnecessary abbreviations in the abstract. Abbreviations are not allowed. Right? Be clear and concise. Don't leave the reader guessing what your research is all about, right? Uh, and also now this language, the language that you use should be well understood. Technical terms, and if the technical terms are not commonly used, just don't use these acronyms. Give the full wording. Number 5, do not forget to make links with the conference theme. If you are submitting to a conference theme, your reviewers would look for relevance. So clearly show how your work fits the topic of that particular session or the full conference, right? Make sure you explain how your work is relevant and fits the theme of the conference. Not journal papers. Journal papers are broadly defined. And number 6, very important, don't go over the word limit. That is very important, right? Long abstracts discourage reviewers from reading them. And always remember, do not include quotes, right? Citations are not allowed in abstracts. Don't include tables or charts unless otherwise it's in the graphical abstract. And also sentences in the first place. Don't use them. I did use objective third-person phrasing always. Citations as quotations and citations are not allowed. And also, lastly, anything that is not included in the subsequent article. And number 8, do not include hyperlinks. Hyperlinks in the sense that if you are submitting a full paper, don't have links to the rest of the paper, right? The abstract, as I told you before, should stand by itself. Don't have links to the rest of the thesis or the paper. And list keywords. Usually the keywords, it's always advisable not to repeat the keywords that you have included in the title, right? Ideally, the keywords should not repeat the ones that have been included in the title, because if you want to make sure that your work is widely searchable, the three uh, fields, the title, abstract, and the keywords. Ideally, the keywords, if they are if the keywords, if the words in the title are repeated in the keywords, your keywords will be worth less. Right? To make it important, try to find some other keywords from your study. And also, when you write the abstract, these theses, the verb tenses are also important, right? These are the recommended for a conventional science-based research. In the rationale or justification for research, that is when you say what remains to be done, use present tense and present perfect, right? So because it is what remains to be done, right? Uh, and then if you use the present tense to introduce the study, here we report this research report reports about something something. So you use the present tense always, right? Uh, and then use past tense or past perfect to describe what previous research has done and research, what you have how you have conducted your methodology, and what you have found. All should be in the past tense, right? What earlier research has found, what methods that you have followed, and what you studied uncovered. All these should be in the past tense. And lastly, use the present tense for that you make for the future studies. When explaining the significance or implications of your study, return to the present tense. For example, if you say the new design will enable to do something, blah, 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 right? So enables is in the present tense, right? So you start with the present tense, and then your methodology and the results in the past, and what others have also done in the past, and your implications that you the conclusions that you make can be in the present tense. And then active or passive voice. Now, this is something that some might be confused with, using the active voice and passive voice. Active voice is generally preferred over the passive voice. Not always, but that is the case. Active voice is short in sentences, and also it is easy to understand. For example, active voice tends to make the writing more direct, clear, and engaging. For example, active voice, the researchers conducted the experiment. Passive voice is the experiment was conducted by the researchers, right? So the placement of the researcher is different here. The researchers conducted the experiment. The experiment was conducted by the researchers. So whenever you write always I prefer to use active voice, but there's no hard and fast rule. But the general tendency nowadays is to use active voice, right? However, there are certain situations where the passive voice might be more appropriate when the focus is on action or the objective rather than the person. Now, here the person is highlighted, but the second, the experiment was highlighted, the method is highlighted. If you want to highlight the experiment, then you can use the passive voice, right? So, for example, the samples were analyzed, the samples, the active voice will be, we analyze the samples using spectrophotometer. Passive voice will be, the samples were analyzed using spectrophotometer, because V is not relevant here, right? The relevancy is the samples. Samples were analyzed using the spectrophotometer, right? So if your idea is to say that the samples were analyzed using spectrophotometer rather than saying what we did, right? But if your focus is on how samples were analyzed, use passive voice, right? So it is there's no hard and fast rule, but when you write the thesis, please make sure that your write up is clear, right? So this is very important in the abstract writing. Whenever you use whenever you write the abstracts, these uh, uh, these adverbs are very important. We have already discussed this. These are called contrastive adverbs or transition words. These transition words are very easy to provide to give the research question, research need, in a nutshell. So you don't have to have long sentences. By using these contrastive adverbs, you can very effectively introduce a statement that you think would be the research need or the question, because these contrasting adverbs, if in fact contrast with with something and contradicts with something that is being said previously, that will give you the reason why you need to conduct this study. And always avoid words like these very ambiguous words like might, may, could, seem, suggest, possibly. They are don't write your research abstracts with uncertainty, right? And also avoid phrases like to some extent, in certain cases, appropriately, because these are not precise things. To some extent has no meaning in precision, right? It's there when you want to have some accuracy. uh, if you say to some extent, in certain cases, all these lack precision, which is essential in scientific communication. Precision is very important. And also the first one, might, may, could, seems, they are all very weak claims, right? If you want to strengthen your claims, don't use this, right? And the third, qualifiers. So adding qualifiers like it is believed that, it is hypothesized that, or it is thought to be. These are all these qualifiers are all redundant, right? These phrases sometimes introduce doubt and make the reader doubt about what you are saying. So if you say it is believed that, who believe? Do the authors believe or some others believe? And aren't you certain about it? Are you not sure about it? So don't use the qualifiers like these with ambiguity. And also don't use phrases like within the scope of the study, to the best of our knowledge, limitations notwithstanding, blah, blah, blah. Because they also not suitable for discussions or conclusions, because they are not they might give an impression that the authors are not confident, concise, then and your write-up will not be concise, and your decisions, your conclusions might not be definitive. But you have to have a definite conclusion at the end, right? The goal of the abstract is to present your research as clearly as possible, compelling as possible, as strong as possible. So don't use these weak phraseology, right? And listen, these are the lessons for effective writing. Subjects and action, put actions in verbs, put characters in subjects, keep subjects near verbs. I think this needs a little bit of time, which I will skip. I need some language exercise for this. Just have a look at this. You need to uh, listen to would be to put new information last, use passive voice, and make sure the first and last sentences of paragraph match, right? And then lesson 3, I think you need some examples for this. I just skip this for the time being. Without examples, it's difficult to explain this slide. And then to wrap up the discussion, don't assume your readers know everything you do, right? Assume that your readers might not know anything about what you are doing, right? And start writing as you are trying to explain what you want to tell them. And the second bullet point, don't assume all published papers have good abstracts. Don't copy the style from a good abstract. But whenever you read a couple of abstracts, you might feel like having one or two as good examples. If you have one or good examples, please follow them. But don't ever assume that all the published papers are good, all the published abstracts are good. That is not the case. Third, don't assume your supervisor, senior colleague will fill the gaps. No, they may be helpful, they may not be helpful. Don't ever assume your supervisor or seniors or your colleagues or your friends will help you. Abstracts might stand on its own. You have to write your abstract, you have to complete it, you have to make sure that it's clear, that is compelling, that is strong, and revise before finalizing. Send feedback for finalizing the drafts, right? And Ernest Hemingway, a controversial writer, American writer, once said, the first draft of anything is this particular word. And the last slide, common mistakes that we make: not summarizing the entire work, not paraphrasing the work, using the abstracts as a de facto introduction. This is not an introduction or discussion, including too much of background, including too much of methods, not explaining what your results mean. That is the most important part of your abstract. Don't include citations, abbreviations, and detailed measurements. Don't include information not presented in the paper. And please follow the instructions to authors, whether it's a journal paper that you are developing, conference paper, or anything that you want to prepare, right? And also, do not forget to include proper keywords, right? And the most that I took from Cambridge University Press, WordPress, and the most common mistakes in abstracts: grammar, typos, right? And then missing information, incomplete abstracts, and ambiguous aims. Aims are not clear, and there are undefined terms, no links to the theme, and the word limit. Word limit is, of course, good, but can you see this? This is not only from Sri Lanka, this is worldwide. And don't make sure that now your abstract will say something very big, but if the reader reads the paper, there's nothing in it, right? Unfortunately, this is the case in some papers, right? You may also have come across such papers. You see the abstract very compelling, very well written, very interesting, but when you go through the paper, there's no substance in it, right? So we put so much of effort in reading the paper, but this is for you also. Don't ever hype, don't ever put false information in the abstract, just to make sure that the abstract is impressive, right? Like a dragon and a small, I don't know what to call this small creature, right? So that is all, ladies and gentlemen, from me today. This brings us to the end of our session. Thank you for your attention, and I hope you feel more confident about writing an effective abstract now. I don't know if it has been effective, my thoughts. If you have questions, I can discuss them further. I'm happy to stay a few minutes more with you. And those who are hungry, I didn't give you a break, can log out. Thank you very much, President Anthony, once again. Thank you very much for all the participants.
Thank you very much, Professor Manatunga, for very comprehensive and very interesting as always. And of course, that even that we didn't think about the break when we are listening to you, and also that very, how can I say that I think that all the participants they got a very good idea of what is abstract and how to write it, and what to write there. So I think this is very important session that you have conducted, and thank you very much once again. All the time that you are always participants are asking for your lectures, and also that in future though whatever things are usually doing, but the participants are looking for your lectures. And there are a few more, like especially the ethics lecture, I want you to conduct in the future also, that you will support us. That's what I'm thinking. And also for the Professor Manthungan, that there is some conference on ICPIS that I'd like to put it in the website for your, not the website actually, to the chat box, that participants can log in and see that what it is, and it's for the, yeah, I have uploaded it. It's for the conference, forthcoming conference of on plastic innovations and environmental sustainability. So actually, conference chairpersons are Professor Mantung and myself. So you can go to the website and you can see that how it is. And if you have any research by now, means like if you have research like what Professor Mantung said, if you have completed your objectives first 1 or 2 or 3, so then you can put there as a conference paper. And first, Mantuka, regarding this conference article, like even the IESL now, some participants are preparing for their full journal,
Yeah, full
full
papers now. The
paper. Yes.
deadline was over. Deadline was 15th.
Okay, right. So regarding that, this conference, it's actually 30th. So if you can give us a small briefing on it, that would be much appreciated.
Yeah, that we can do. Yes.
Um, I have sent the template to you, and if you have any special thing to mention over there, that getting a few minutes, that would be highly appreciated.
President Bandhavi, shall we do it sometimes either next week also? Because when we have a bigger audience, because today the audience is.
Right. Okay. That's good. That's a really good proposal, Rosmalatunga. Thank you so much. Then, participants, that are there any questions from your side? Probably no questions because we have mentioned every each and every aspects very clearly. And yeah, all Latin, thank you. So again, then I'm also saying thank you so much, Ms. Mankunja, that once again, and I hope that many who are new to the research, who are going planning to do the PhD or the MPhils or like kind of the undergraduate research, that they know how to do a proposal, and we have tried the abstract and how concise it should be, as well as how focused it should be. And with that note, once again, our resource person, Professor Jagat Mantuka, we are so grateful to you and thank you so much. And also for the IESL, as well as Mrs. Kamala Gunawardhan, who is the Vice President of the Library Publicity and Publication and Conferences Committee, as well as Mr. Kamila, that I hope next time that you will circulate on time, and also to showing us that our flyer. And with that thought, the participants, you are the most important. Thank you so much, and we will meet another day with Professor Namatunga. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
And there's one question from one RD. There is saying,
Participant.
yeah, executive
Okay.
summary versus extended. Yeah, executive summary is usually made for a, technical report. Probably if you are preparing a feasibility report, for example, or an environment impact assessment, or some kind of a technical report. Uh, it can be social or not even engineering based, but even science project. Uh, the executive summary should have summaries for each and every section of that particular report. If it has 10 chapters or 10 sections, each section has to be summarized and included in the executive summary. Executive summary is kind of a short version of the full report. It's not. It's in contrast to the abstract. It is very different because it comprises of more details than an abstract. Now this extended abstract is now I gave you some examples of the structured abstract, right? The structured abstract is very similar to the extended abstract that you are referring to. But executive summaries, don't confuse that with research work. Executive summaries are meant for technically oriented reports, which are much longer than abstracts, right? Because executive summaries, there aren't any conclusions or anything like that. There can be recommendations at the end, but not it doesn't follow like research methodology and the conclusions that we make at the end. Extended abstract is just it's the same as the structured abstract that I was talking about.
Generally, excellent abstract around 4 pages. Isn't it, Pasmanathan? Yeah, if there are no questions,
Shall we wind up then?
yeah. Yes, let's do that. Thank you
Thank you,
very
brother.
much. Thanks so much.